Hello, your Joyful Life family. This is Terry Carl Joyedian. Today I have a very special gift for you for the month of September. It is my Toastmaster speech, 10 Things I Didn't Expect to Never Forget on the Camino. And I wanted to give it just to you for being a part of your joyful life. So please enjoy. A little background, this speech was written for the humorous speech contest for Toastmasters. I gave it knowing it was going to be some extra experience for me since I wouldn't be able to continue to the next level due to a schedule conflict. So here it is for you to enjoy the 10 things I didn't expect to never forget on the Camino. On June 26th, I left for Ireland to fly to England, to fly to Biarritz, France, to arrive in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-la-Port by shuttle to start my Camino. Sometimes the hardest part is just getting there. I walked 500 miles across northern Spain from Saint-Jean-de-la-Port to the edge of Spain, beginning of France, all the way to Santiago. 500 miles over 31 days, averaging about 17 miles a day. It was an unforgettable journey, full of people and experiences I'll never forget, and some of these were quite unexpected. Here are the top 10 things I didn't expect to never forget on the Camino. Number 1, bed bugs. Yes, I got them. I was not immune. Fortunately, I did get bed bugs the very end of the trip the last week, so I only had 1 week of the paranoia, you know, that feeling when you're in a mosquito area or you had an ant crawling on you and all of a sudden every little twitch and tick is a little bug. I had that. I was checking all over. Will not forget that experience of the willy jillies with the bed bugs. Number 2, blisters on others. I actually only got 2 little blisters. They were on the inside of my toe. And so I would just wrap them up really good each morning. I had a nice system with that. But some of the blisters on other people, the people who walk the Camino are superheroes. Some of the things that they walk with, I mean, I felt like I could never complain. This is not an exaggeration. There were blisters this big on the back of the foot. And I didn't know, how they could deal with wrapping that up or popping it, whatever they decided to do with it, and then walking on it, and just because those blisters kept coming back day after day after day. Amazing. Number 3, early morning rustling. Most people wanted to get up early in the morning for the Camino because once you got to even late morning, early afternoon, it was hot. And we were there in the hottest part of the year, July. Most of my walking was done in July. And so you wanted to get started early to get some of your best walking in before it got hot. And that meant some people were waking up 5:30, 6:30 in the morning. One time I actually got up at 4:30. That was for a stargazing walk, which was amazing. But a lot of times, sometimes I was the rustlee, sometimes I was the rustler. And you'd be there with your little flashlight on your phone, trying to get things out of your bag and get things ready to go so that you wouldn't disrupt anyone. Although some people were pretty just completely unaware of people sleeping. That's sometimes how it goes. So that was number 3. Number 4, thing I will never forget was eggs and French fries for dinner. That was my favorite dinner in Spain, believe it or not. I love eggs. I love French fries. I never expected them to be put together. It was pretty amazing. Usually there'd be also a side of ham or some kind of meat. Apparently the Spanish people are really big on meat and on French fries. Surprise, surprise. That was great. I have not had eggs and French fries since I have come back from Spain, but I have had eggs and potatoes quite a few times for breakfast. Not quite the same, still very good. Number 5, near alcoholism. This was something I did not expect from Spain. When I was reading the guidebooks, I was surprised to read that many people walking would enjoy a glass of wine at the end of the day after walking. I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'll be dehydrated. How am I going to walk the next day? This was before I started walking the Camino. That was my thought. And then on day 1 of the Camino, I said, well, I mean, it comes with the meal. On day 5 of the Camino, I said, wine or water? Well, wine, of course. And by day 10 of the Camino, I said, where's the wine? That was one habit that I was able to kick pretty quickly when I came back home, but I was really worried that I was going to be expecting wine every night. Almost every night of the Camino, I had wine. Number 6, bread. If you're planning on going on a diet or kicking a habit, the Camino is probably not the best time to do it. I know smokers who picked ex-smokers or smokers who are already getting ready to quit, who picked up smoking again while walking the Camino. This is not a stress-free experience, okay? You're walking continuously hour upon hour, and you're dealing with sore muscles and sometimes blisters and heat, and you're not always sure where you're going to be staying that night, and different things that come up like downhills that are rocky and blah blah blah. Not a good time to kick a habit. Not also a very good time for people on a diet. There were not a lot of vegetables in Spain. I had to purposefully find vegetables. You know, we call it a pilgrim's menu that was a special. It was $12, and you get a first course, second course, and a dessert, and then a drink, which was wine for me, of course. It could be wine or water. And I had to make sure I picked a vegetable for the first course because there was plenty of meat. There's also bread everywhere. There would be these breaded sandwiches with sides of bread, like kind of reminded me of Panera. You know, you have the panini and you have more bread. It's like more bread, more bread. So this is a gluten intolerances person's a nightmare. And also people would be, you know, those big French rolls. I never understood that. Like, how could people eat that much bread? I'd see people walking out of these shops with just these big rolls, and they must have a big family, because I don't know how you eat all that bread. I mean, it goes stale pretty quickly. Number 7, wheat fields. They say you either have a love relationship or a hate relationship with the wheat fields. That was in an area called the Meseta. I had both. When I first was introduced to the Meseta, and I was just in the beginning, and I walked over this big mountain, walked up this big mountain, and finally, you know, I get across the mountain, I look at their side, and I look down, and there's this huge desert-looking panorama in front of me, looking down this mountain of these wheat fields. It just looked gorgeous, and I actually started to cry. It was so beautiful. That was before multiple days of walking through that, because there is no shade, and again, this was July, so I'm getting heat of the day, sun, heat of the year in flatland wheat fields. Then I was not so appreciative and so in love with the Meseta. Had both the love and the hate going there. Number 8 that I did not expect to forget was my quick dry towel. I actually literally forgot this, and part of what I'm really learning about myself, and I realized it more when I was on the Camino, is that I really like structure and routine. I don't always have it, but I appreciate it, and it helps me be more efficient. So I had this routine that I had down for both a morning routine and when I'm done with walking routine. In the morning, I would already have my clothes on from the night before. I dressed in the clothes I'd be wearing the next day, and so I would just kind of roll out of bed, and I actually laid my stuff out at the foot of the bed that I'd be needing the next day, which was my 2 pairs of socks. I had an inner layer and I had an outer layer, which saved my feet from blisters, and then I also had my little wrap of tape, which was very critical, and I would wrap each of my big toes that had the blister on it. And I also had the lotion out, because I always would lotion my feet in the morning. You're supposed to lotion your feet twice a day. I actually have all of that sitting at the foot of my bed for when I was the wrestler. I could just quickly lotion my feet, wrap it up, put my 2 socks on, throw everything into my bag and quickly go out to where my shoes were, because they never let us wear our shoes in the room. Makes sense. And I had a routine also for the evening. Like when I would get home, when I would get back from walking and I would pick my hostel and I got my bed, the first thing I would do is I would just sit. It could be anywhere from a half hour to an hour. I would just let myself sit there. That was my celebration. I made it for the day. And then after I felt like I'd had enough time of sitting, maybe I had, if I had Wi-Fi, I might be on Facebook posting something about my trip, or I might be texting Brian, and or if there's no Wi-Fi, I had my 1 or 2 texts with Brian letting him know what was going on with me. And then once I was kind of settled and felt like I'd had enough time to rest, then the first thing I would do is shower, because I wanted to make sure I could change my clothes into my clothes for the next day, so that I would also have clothes, also be able to hand wash my clothes. There's you had to get that hand washing clothes in quickly because you had to dry them. And for my shower, I had, the clothes that I was bringing in with me, and then I had my little bag with my little snap that you could hang from the shower if they had a nice hook. Not all of them did, but some did. And I had my quick dry towel, which really did dry quickly. I may just get another one of those. And my little rag, which I also left, that was quick dry rag. So awesome. I think I actually do want to purchase another one. It was really good for exfoliating. And my basic H little bottle, which is a Shackley soap that I just use for everything. I use for my hair and my body, for cleaning my clothes. It worked out great. And one day I was at it was a really nice albergue that had a hostel. It had tons of lines out and there were lots of people, and I noticed at one point that a woman had moved some of them to their spot to get maybe different sunlight or to consolidate space because it was almost time for bed. And I went to grab my stuff. I grabbed the clothes, but I thought I'd already grabbed the towels because I didn't see them there, and I hadn't. I left them, and when I figured it out the next day, I was devastated because it ruined my routine, and I had to kind of dry my body with one of my shirts for the next couple days until I found the Spain equivalent of a dollar store. They called them like the China store or something. I found a little white sports towel that did the trick. Just wasn't nearly as nice. It did still dry quickly, and I never got my other little wet rat back, and I was just devastating. I never expected to forget that. I had my hat, thank goodness. I never lost my hat. I knew a guy from England, poor soul, who lost his hat 3 or 4 times, had to keep buying a new hat. I did leave my phone once, but thankfully I caught it about 5 blocks in, so I walked back. But I was not going to walk back for that quick dry towel. There's no going back. Number 9 is getting lost in big cities. I realized about halfway, well, maybe a third of the way through the Camino, that I'm not a city girl. I am a small town girl. I love the small towns. Best thing about small towns is you can't get lost in them. If you're supposed to, first of all, you have these wonderful big yellow arrows everywhere that direct you where to go. And so that even if you go a certain way, like you're going to the grocery store, you can't get lost because you can just basically go in a circle. There's not enough in that town to get lost. But a city, some of these cities, they're huge. They look like Burgos, León, Pamplona. They look like a Chicago city. Pamplona was pretty cool because it had different colored apartments. But some of these just look like a modern city in Illinois. I mean, some of them even had like Domino's, KFC, things that we would see here. So inevitably in every city I got lost, because normally, as I mentioned, you have these painted yellow arrows that were painted by a priest back in the 1970s, but in the cities there weren't always these yellow arrows, and there's much more distraction. There are a lot more buildings, a lot more people, a lot more things in your environment, and the arrows were shown in different ways. Sometimes it wasn't even an arrow, sometimes it was a little metal shell on the ground that you're looking for as you're walking, or sometimes it's a little arrow or little metal thing on the side of a building. So if you're not looking carefully, it's very easy to miss it, and then they're no more because you're over here. So, as I said, I think I got lost in every city at least once. The one time that I definitely did not get lost, I was walking with somebody else, and there are a couple times where I missed one or he missed one, but we were able to help each other. So the next time I go on the Camino, if I'm walking in a city or towards a city, I will definitely make sure I have someone with me so we can help each other with that. And the last, number 10 thing on the Camino that I never expected to never forget was wind turbines. There were a lot of them. This one's not funny, so I just wanted to put it in there to make it an even 10, because I know some people go crazy when it's, you know, not an even 10, me too sometimes, although I like to mess with myself or other people sometimes. So do whatever you want with number 10, wind turbines. I saw them everywhere, I won't forget them. Put your own Don Quixote reference in there and enjoy that one. And those are the 10 things I didn't expect to never forget about the Camino. And I will be hopefully talking more about the Camino in my blog or on another one of these gifts to you. Spend some time, and I'm going to go back and look in my journal and start processing that, and then I will share that with you. I hope you enjoyed this gift. Much love and many blessings to you all. Bye-bye now.